Hi, welcome to the Clark County Museum. My name is Amber Colbert and I'm the Clark County Museum Administrator. Today you're joining me at the Grand Canyon Airlines ticket office, also known as the Bradley House. Now this was moved here in 2002, but it took us some time to raise some funds to open it up, and we opened it up in 2020. So let's go take a look at some of this aviation history and some history about Boulder City. So as you enter the Grand Canyon ticket office, you'll notice that it's very small. And this first room is set up to look like a ticket office. So going back to 1931, a millionaire by the name of Roxy Ruxell, who got his millions from inventing an axle that was used on the Model Ts, decided that the aviation tourism business was going to be huge in Southern Nevada. So he bought the fledgling Grand Canyon Airlines and he moved it to Boulder City. He ran it very successfully out of this ticket office. You could go up to the window, buy your ticket for a few dollars, board a plane, and fly over to the north or the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Now this wasn't enough for Ruxell. He wanted to expand the business further, so he partnered with Jim Webb and they opened the Grand Canyon Boulder Tours Incorporated. And this gave them tours by water, by air, and by land. Now, Ruxell ran this very successfully, but come in 1937, another airline wanted to fly into Boulder City. This was TWA. A lot larger airline needed larger facilities, so he made an agreement with them to expand Bullock Field in Boulder City. They ended up building a huge terminal, hangar, and expanding the runways. This building was no longer needed, so Ruxell moved it to his property on Arizona Street in Boulder City, where it broke history. Let's move to the next room to talk about that history a little bit. So as you enter the second room in this very small building, we've dedicated this room to African American history in Southern Nevada prior to World War II. So we have a nice display showing a timeline of history that was significant to the community. The bigger story here and why we've dedicated this room to the African American community is that this house, after it was moved to Arizona Street, became the first resident of an African American allowed to live in Boulder City. That person was named Henry Bradley and his wife O.C. Now, they were employees of Ruxell, and they were said to be one of their best employees. And they had a tragedy. In 1939, their house burned to the ground. Henry O.C. even burned his arm trying to get the Cocker Spaniel out of the house. They needed a place to live, so Ruxell offered this house up to them. One problem: Boulder City at that point was segregated and had no African American residents. And a lot of people were not happy about it. But Ruxell, having part of the economy of Boulder City in his pocket, was able to convince them to allow them to live there. That wasn't their only challenge though. Henry and O.C. wanted to own their property and they wanted to build their own house in Boulder City. So the first thing, they saved money. They had enough money, but the contractor actually charged them 5 times the amount of every other house in Boulder City. That was okay, they could get past that. Next problem, the land was owned by the federal government and you had to secure a lease from that federal government. This meant they had to go to the city manager, Ely Sims, who was kind of known for being a little racist. But Ely Sims did come to a compromise. He gave them a land lease, but it was located over a football field away from any other residents. And there were still people in Boulder City that didn't agree with that. They wrote their senators, they complained at city hall meetings that this was going to devalue their property and make their town unsafe. Eventually it went to Washington, D.C., and the commissioner of the Bureau of Reclamation finally made the decision that this land lease was going to happen. And in 1939, O.C. and Henry Bradley moved into their own property in Boulder City, and for a long time were the only African Americans living in Boulder City. They lived there until 1947 when they moved to LA to open their own hot dog stand and lived a successful life there. Thank you again for joining me at the Grand Canyon ticket office and the Bradley House. As you heard, this is some fantastic history about our aviation tourism business, as well as desegregating our community and making it more diverse. Now, if you'd like to come see this house or any of our other structures, we are open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 4:30. And to serve our community, we no longer charge an admissions fee. So you are free to come and enjoy your local history.